there are many ways of practicing the healing art, but I believe only one that heaven approves of, and that is nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, fresh air, rest, and trust in God. And with that in mind, you've heard of the different cancer therapies that have been put on hold, or maybe the practices of those who were doing them were taken away from them, or people put in jail for doing anything other than what orthodox medicine said could be done. I'm sure you've all heard the nightmare stories. But the information I'm going to share with you this evening is information that no one can take from you. Does that sound good? No one can come and arrest the information. And that is very interesting, because as I give it to you, you in turn will be able to give it to others. And that way the blessing just keeps on permeating, a ripple effect through everywhere. It's very easy. So before I even start with the information, I'm going to give you the underlying principle behind what it is we're going to discover tonight. Well, you've heard of the Master Cleanse, the Palm Beach diet, the Beverly Hills diet, raw food diet, supplements, the Atkins diet. You've heard of all these things. Maybe you've even heard of Eat for Your Blood Type diet and all of these different things. And you try to make yourself find your way through the maze of information that is out there. And what we're going to do is we're going to wonder, how can we know which therapies are beneficial and which ones are not? And I'm going to go by principle alone. Disease, we'll start with this premise here. Disease or dis-ease is defined as a lack of health. Disease results when any cell is not functioning 100% of its design duty, whether due to trauma, toxicity, lack of communication, or a combination thereof. Remember me talking to you about the heart in that operation, and it was communicating with the brain, and the brain with the heart. And once the brain realized the heart was not pumping, the body began to shut down. There is an intricate communication between the brain and every cell in your body. A total communication. And what we're going to work on is we're going to work on allowing that communication to take place, and take place very well, unhindered. Sound good? We do not catch a disease or illness. We earn it. There's the principle. You don't just walk down the street one day and a bug traps you and says, that's it, it's over, your health is gone. That is not how it works. Disease is nothing more than the body responding to the wrong we have done to it. That is simply what disease is. It's just the body responding to the things we do. The body tries to make itself well, and that's all it's programmed to do. From the time we're conceived through the time that we die, all the body knows how to do is make you well. And it tries to do that in a variety of ways. Remember the pH scale that I've shared with you. The body is healthy when the cellular pH is between a 7 and an 8. That's where we'll find perfect health. Once you get below 7 on the pH scale as far as your cells go in your body, that's when disease starts to set in. If you inherited a weak organ, say a heart, well, that's where the disease might start. If you inherited a weak liver, it might be there. It could be anywhere where there's a weakness in your body's makeup. That's when you drop below 7, that's what's going to take place. That doesn't mean you're instantly sick. You're instantly having different things that happen to you that you may have to end up in hospital or something. It simply means your body is going to start to deteriorate, and it'll start to deteriorate in the weakest tissue first. Your symptoms may not show up for a number of years, maybe weeks, maybe months, but they will show up sooner or later if you keep on doing the wrong things. Now, cancer doesn't manifest itself until the cellular pH is 5.7 or lower, according to Dr. Joel Robbins at in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at the College of Natural Health. And we have found this to be very true. A person has to be very much on the acidic side before cancer shows up. In all the blood work I've done, that holds true. Symptoms. Here's a strange thought for you. Symptoms are our friends. Symptoms are indicators that there is an abnormal condition within the body which is responding or producing a state of disease. It's responding to the wrong we do. A symptom or group of symptoms are given a specific name. Medically, this name is known as a disease or illness. A symptom is the body's effort to eliminate toxins from the body, an attempt to restore health and maintain life. And the problem that we have building up in our tissues is a problem of mucus building up in the body. Mucus builds up and builds up from the things that we eat. And you're going to discover in tonight's lecture how it is you can get rid of the mucus buildup in your system, have a healthier, younger, more vital body. Do you think we need supplements?
I think there are certainly some people that require supplements because of maybe chronic health problems.
I don't know. I've never used them. I know a lot of people who do use them, though. They say they work, so.
Yeah, I think so for some things.
Can supplements cure symptoms? A good question. Have any of you heard us in these lectures selling supplements? No? Why do you think that is? Haven't you heard doctors before? They'll say, get this supplement, get so much vitamin C, or get yourself some of this or that or the other thing. Well, personally, we don't believe in that. We believe everything we need to heal our bodies is found in the foods which God has supplied. That is what we believe, and that's what we've seen work best. And I'm going to show you why that is. Have you ever seen on a drugstore shelf or on the shelf of a health food store, and I'm not putting these places down, but you'll see vitamin C from ascorbic acid. Have you ever seen that? Yeah. Well, vitamin C from ascorbic acid is a true thing. It's from ascorbic acid. But what is the ascorbic acid? Now, vitamin C is made up of 9 components, and ascorbic acid is the outside protective layer. Once they try and separate vitamin C from its original parent stock, the ascorbic acid is taken off. And the ascorbic acid is all that's left because the other 8 components will oxidize immediately once the ascorbic acid is all through, is taken off. So you see, all you have left is ascorbic acid. And that's why they'll say vitamin C from ascorbic acid. Now there's a principle here, because I say, what therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. In other words, don't let man divide it up. When you try to subtract the vitamin C from the orange, you ruin the vitamin C. Now, if you take orange juice and you dehydrate it at 105 degrees or lower, that saves all the elements in their proper formation, in their proper balances and ratios. And if you have that as a powder and add water and drink it, or take it just as it is, mix it in a little capsule and take it down, you'll receive much, much better nutrition than just vitamin C, 500 milligrams, or 1,000 milligrams or 2,000 milligrams. Much better. Your body won't be robbed of the nutrients. Your body, if that vitamin C goes in as ascorbic acid, your body, if it's going to use that ascorbic acid, has to make up for the other 8 components that were missing. And where's it going to get it from? It's going to have to rob Peter to pay Paul. But if you take an orange and juice it fresh, you're going to have all the balanced nutrients necessary to make that vitamin C usable in your body. Does that make sense? And one orange is about 250 milligrams of vitamin C. And you can probably eat maybe 2 or 3 oranges, maybe, if you really pushed it. That will tell you that all you need is somewhere between 250 to 750 milligrams of vitamin C, not 2,000. We need to think more about the foods we're eating and how our body is. Okay. Niacin, if we take just vitamins on their own, let's just take niacin separated from its mother compound. Niacin, as found in nature, it acts as a vitamin, but taken in supplement form, it begins to act as a drug. As a drug, it lowers blood cholesterol and triglycerides, but As a drug, it also has side effects including peptic ulcers, diarrhea, altered heart rates, liver disease, gout, and worsening of diabetes. So you see, you're exchanging one thing for another. It becomes harmful to you. Vitamin B6, pyridoxine, in large amounts can worsen Parkinson's disease and cause other nerve problems. If you want to make sure you're getting your B vitamins in proper proportion, in perfect ratio, it is very good to get them from something like bee pollen. Bee pollen contains 96 vitamins and minerals that they know of, and they're all in organic, living form, perfectly balanced, including vitamin B12. And if you had a tablespoon of bee pollen every day, you'd be making sure you get all your B vitamins. It is so easy. That's the only kind of supplement I would recommend. Go and get some bee pollen if you think you're needing more vitamin B. Now, there's also another principle involved here. You see, in an apple, there are 272 nutrients that we know of. 272. What's the highest nutrient content of any vitamin pill that you know of on the market? I've heard of things like Centrum with, 48 essential vitamins and minerals? 48? An apple alone has 272 that we know of. Once technology develops better than we have it today, I am positively sure we'll find even more nutrients in that apple, things we haven't discovered yet. If you're on a supplement program, you'll have to wait for scientists to discover more of the healthful compounds in plant foods, learn how to make or isolate them in a lab, and then, finally, put them into supplements for commercial sale. On the other hand, if you're eating fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and seeds in moderation, then you will be getting all of the hottest protective phytochemicals before they are even discovered. Sounds good, better, isn't it? It's a better way to go. Just get the stuff before science even discovers it. By the things which God made for our hands to put in our mouths. Very, very simple. Okay, can drugs cure disease? I just want to look at some interesting things. We're talking about supplements curing disease. Now we're talking about drugs curing disease. And I hope you see, supplements cannot cure disease. You're going to find out that not even drugs can cure disease. But here's why. The drug relieves the symptom, but does nothing about the underlying problem, which caused the symptom. This is why drug therapies are ongoing. So you see, drugs and supplements, as long as we only treat the symptoms, we will never have health. Because if you're taking a supplement of any kind, and your symptom disappears, and you stop taking the supplement, and the symptom comes back, what does that tell you? That the symptom was not cured. Whatever you were taking, be it drug or be it herb, it didn't cure the symptom. We have to do something different. We have to attack the problem from the inside out, because that is where it's coming from. Now, here's a statement from Professor Martin Payne, a medical doctor at New York University Medical School. And he said, in the administration of medicines, we cure one disease by producing another. Also, Professor Alonzo Clark, medical doctor at New York College of Physicians and Surgeons, said, all of our curative agents are poisons, and as a consequence, every dose diminishes the patient's vitality. In other words, the body has to fight this poison and try and cure the disease at the same time. And sometimes those very drugs can cause death. There are 2 times when symptoms will manifest themselves in the body. When the body is sick and when the body is repairing itself. Now, it's very important that you understand that very principle. 2 times when symptoms will reveal themselves. When you're very sick and when the body is repairing itself. And I'm going to explain that now a little bit further. A disease symptom happens when one or more of the body's organs of elimination are not working properly. And the organs of elimination are the lungs, colon, the kidneys, the skin, the liver. And here we are. Symptoms of a diseased colon will be manifested as constipation, diarrhea, cramping, blood in the stool, bloating, undigested food passing through, long transit time, or hemorrhoids. And by the way, hemorrhoids can also be showing us a sign that the liver is very congested. Okay, so it's, don't remove the hemorrhoids. We find out, why are they there? What placed them there to begin with? Because if you find the cause, you have found the cure. Diseased lungs manifest symptoms such as constant phlegm, difficult breathing, such as asthma, chest pain, which is not heart-related, over-acidity of the body, because lack of oxygen causes acidosis to take place in the body, low oxygenation of the blood, and nasal congestion producing post-nasal drip. If you know anybody who's got post-nasal drip, you've got some lungs that are having difficulty. Symptoms of diseased kidneys. Now notice, I'm dealing with all the organs of elimination here. Symptoms of diseased kidneys will be realized when one suffers from high blood pressure, mineral deficiencies resulting in poor blood quality, chronic dehydration despite adequate water consumption, and when minerals in the body as well as sugar levels in the blood get out of balance. That is when the kidneys will show signs of stress, symptoms of we're in trouble. Diseased skin will manifest symptoms like very little sweat, discoloration, acne, various blemishes such as warts, moles, psoriasis, eczema, etc. It can also be very sensitive to sunlight with moderate exposure and can be slow to heal and scar easily. Those are signs that your skin is not working properly. Now remember, those organs of elimination have to be working properly in order for you to be in health. Is this understood so far? Do you know anybody with the symptoms that I've mentioned? Probably. This is telling you the organs of elimination are not working properly. A diseased liver produces symptoms such as cholesterol level imbalance. Anybody know somebody whose cholesterol level is too high this way or too low that way? That's a sign of liver dysfunction. That's what it is. It's not a deficiency in herbs. It's not a deficiency in cholesterol-lowering drugs. It is a problem with the liver itself. Poor digestion of fats, fatigue, asthma, and other lung problems, yes, related to the liver. Headaches, a coated tongue, blood toxicity, as well as kidney problems. If it is unable to neutralize uric acid fast enough, it causes problems with the joints and everything, and arthritis showing up because the liver is not able to function properly and the diet is wrong, causing the liver not to function properly. So now there are the organs of elimination. Now the symptoms of disease happen when you have not been eating and living right according to the 8 laws of health. And I gave those 8 laws to you at the beginning of this lecture. On the other hand, a symptom of repair happens when you have been doing everything right and all of your eliminative organs have been working well. Usually this is you have a feeling of well-being for 2 to 3 days. You feel really good, maybe better than you've ever felt before. Then all of a sudden, oh my, a symptom occurs. This, is the body healing itself. We had one man come to see us, and he went through a cleanse program, a 10-day cleanse. And on this program, he did very good. He worked hard at it, did a lot of sweating, put in a lot of the right foods. When he got home, 2 weeks after he got home, he phoned us. And he was talking with me, and he said, everything's going good except for one thing. I said, what's that? He said, I've got gout. and I'm doing everything right. And I said, are you eliminating properly? He said, yes. I said, are you sweating properly? Yes. His lungs were doing fine. Everything was working right, but he had gout. So he said, this gout is just like the gout I had 20 years ago. I said, really? I said, what did you do for the gout you had 20 years ago? He said, well, I went to the doctor, I got some salve, and I took some antibiotics, and it went away. I said, what, was it gone in a couple of days or 3 days? He said, yes, it went right away, almost immediately. And I said, that gout that you have right now is the same gout you had 20 years ago. It's just that now, since your body was healthier, it said, okay, I'm going to take this gout and I'm going to get rid of it once and for all. Now that I've got enough time and enough energy and enough nutrients, I'm going to get rid of it. Now you may be thinking, uh-oh, does that mean I'm going to go through every single symptom I've ever had as my body heals itself and makes itself healthy? Not necessarily. You may experience nothing. You may experience some fatigue. You may experience some of the symptoms such as gout, maybe headache, maybe skin rash. We had one young lady that came to see us in her early 20s, and she had a rash on her arm, and the rash would come and go, come and go, come and go. She learned why the rash was there on our cleanse program, and she went home. Her mother was with her. She went home, and as she went home and did all the right things, she started to break out in a huge rash. But now she knew what was happening, and she said, okay, I'm just going to let the rash go. Well, this rash went all the way up her arm, on across her shoulder, and up the side of her neck, and started to go onto her face. And so her mother said, I'm going to take you to Mexico for a couple of weeks, and we'll let this thing work its way out. So she did. And when she was in Mexico, her mother told me that she looked like the Phantom of the Opera, because half her face was all broken out in rash, and the other half was just fine. But after 2 weeks, it started to clear itself right up, and her skin was more pure than it was before. So the body knew exactly what it was it needed to do, and since she knew what the body was doing, she got out of the way and did nothing intelligently and let the body heal itself. This is an absolute miraculous living machine, and the only machine that can fix itself if we do it very carefully. Now, the body is smarter than we know, and it's smarter than we can know, because we cannot make one. We can fix the camera. We can fix the chair, the computer, anything, because we make those things. But when it comes to the human body, we're actually very ignorant on how to fix it. But it'll fix itself. I'll show you how it's going to do that. How to ignite the body's healing ability. Here's what you do. If you want to, now this is specifically for people who want to really, really start a good healing practice with their body. You don't want to wait 5 or 6 years or 10 years to get perfectly well. You say, I want to get well as soon as possible. Are you with me? I think if you weren't interested in that, you wouldn't be at this lecture, would you? You want to know, how can I get well? How can I have this utopia of perfect health? Well, I'll show you. Here's what you do first. For 21 days, your foods must be 80% plus raw. Here's how you're going to ignite the healing process. 20% or 80% plus raw. That means you can still have some cooked foods, but the majority of your foods are going to be raw foods when you sit down to a meal. Have at least 2 16-ounce glasses of fresh squeezed vegetable juice daily for the 21 days. 2 16-ounce glasses of fresh squeezed vegetable juice daily. This is very important. What you are doing is you are giving the body the nutrients it needs to start repairing itself. But as your brain directs the body and what to do, you have programmed your brain to say, in 21 days, we are going to do some major house cleaning and repair. So get ready in 21 days. And the brain is going to do just that with all the organs of the body. Next, Exercise for a half hour, 5 days a week, producing a good sweat each time. That's very important. Remember night number 2, I said about exercise? You've got to have the exercise or you will never produce a healthy body. So exercise, half hour a day, producing a sweat. And next, get lots of sunshine and fresh air daily by walking outside. Walking, by the way, is the best form of exercise. Lots of sunshine and fresh air every day for those 21 days. Then, be temperate in all working and eating habits. Don't work overtime. Don't eat too much at one meal. The human stomach can only house about 4 cups of chewed food. 2 cups of chewed food. That would be 4 cups of unchewed food. So imagine taking 4 cups of food, putting it on your plate, salad and so on and so forth, and if you chew that really well, it'll end up as about 2 cups of chewed food. Your stomach has a lot of ripples in it. And the stomach was never meant to stretch as tight as a balloon, so skin tight, that it cannot move the food around inside it. When you put in approximately 2 cups of chewed food, the stomach has room to move the food all around. And this enhances the digestion very, very well. But if you've eaten too much, then your stomach cannot move the food around properly and it sits like a rock in your system for long periods of time. And oftentimes the brain is called in to help move the food around when really it should be doing something else. Next, get at least 8 hours of rest every night. That's an order. 8 hours of rest every night, at least. Then comes the 3-day water fast. And I'm going to pause here, and we'll continue when I return. So now there's a purpose here in eating nothing, taking nothing into the stomach except water. No working or exercise during the fast. This means you'd be wise to plan the fast probably on a long weekend. That'd be a good time to plan it. 3-day water fast, long weekend, great. I'll be able to rest a lot, relax my mind. There is to be no TV or other entertainment as the brain needs to focus completely on cleansing. Now, is there anybody out there in the audience that's a news freak? If you don't get your daily news on the television, you just don't know what you'll do with yourself? Well, if that's the case, I'm going to ask you, please give up the news for 3 days. Your body will love it. Those things stimulate your body, start to run adrenaline through the system as you hear of something that just starts your mind going. You don't want that to take place. Instead, you want perfect relaxation. Now, the thing that goes along with this is the fact that prayer and communion with God are recommended, but no intense study of any kind. So if you're watching the news, it can rob that spiritual experience for you. But if you'll just pray and just study lightly the Word of God, maybe read some of the promises from the Psalms, or one of my favorite things to do is to read the book of John. Just relaxed reading. Don't think very hard. Just absorb yourself in the love of God for you. And He wants you to be well. He wants you to be very healthy. And this is part of the way He's going to do it. Sleep whenever you feel tired for those 3 days. Does this sound like a holiday to you? Sounds like fun, doesn't it? Just nothing to do. I just heard my wife in the corner, I think it was, she was going, oh my, oh, I'd love to have such a thing. We have an extremely hectic schedule, you can imagine. And it's hard to get away sometimes. There's so many people in need, so many people are sick. And it's a good thing we're doing the videos because this will help people to get the information and we won't have to be there. Praise the Lord for technology. We can be everywhere at once. That's good. Next, disconnect the phone and other annoyances. Disconnect the phone and other annoyances. If you've got some of these latest electronic gimmicks, get rid of them all. Get the sensory overload away from you. Get a quiet place. Maybe you'll have to go away to one of these retreat places in the wilderness where you can just have 3 days. Nice little cabin in the woods or on the beach by the ocean, whatever. As long as you have those 3 days to do nothing but relax and follow all this by drinking lots and lots. What kind of water would you be drinking? Good for you. You learn well. You'll be drinking distilled water. And distilled water, whenever you're thirsty, even between, just keep sipping on the water, and your body is going to start to clean things up. It says, great, there's no digestion being used. I'm going to start healing the body. Now, I've said on here, sleep as much as possible, as much as you want. Your eyesight uses up to 70% of your total body energy. So if your body wants to use 100% of your energy for healing, what would it do? It'll say, brain, could you close down sight for a little while so we could free up that energy and use it for cleaning the liver or maybe repairing the heart or the bowel or the pancreas or the stomach? And the brain, during those 3 days, is going to say, no problem, watch this. Oh, off you go. That's good. And by the way, if you've eaten a big meal, and you feel really tired, that's because the stomach says, oh boy, I'm going to need more energy than I've got to digest this meal. Could you please shut down sight? He's using way too much energy. Shut the news off. Pull the plug on the TV or just do something. That's how the body operates. Once you learn how it operates in health, it's easy to figure out what's going on when disease sets in. It's a whole lot easier. Okay, now during the fast, you may experience some symptoms which you have previously had, or you may feel nothing but tired. If you feel nothing but tired, that means your body is taking care of things, okay? Whatever your body needs to do, just listen. You may experience nothing at all, which could mean that your body has taken care of whatever it needed to take care of, or from the foods you've been consuming, and you've improved your way of life. So your body during that 21 days, or even prior, if you've changed your diet and lifestyle, could be looking after things. Now here's one important thing I wish to stress. Caution, do not fast longer than 3 days without the supervision of a professional. Someone who's in the business, who knows what to do with people who want to fast. Someone who's done a lot of fasting. This is your best thing to do if you want to go longer than 3 days. But I don't recommend longer than 3 days. 3 days can do wonders for you. You may say, I'm going to do 3 days once a month. Great. Fantastic. Maybe you want to do 3 days once every 2 months. That's good. Whatever you want to do, you do it. Now, there's another principle involved here in this, and that is this. Different supplements can force the body to do something it might not be ready to do. For instance, if you were to take Golden Seal, which is supposed to be very good for cleansing the liver, well, you force your liver to clean when maybe it's not ready to do that. Maybe the body says, look, I've got more work to do on the pancreas, and you're forcing me over here to the liver to do something I wasn't ready to do yet. Maybe the bowel wasn't cleansed enough that the liver could dump toxins into the bowel. So we always start with a good bowel. Get the bowel working good, and then let the body do whatever it wants to do. Now you see, I don't believe in force. I believe in letting your body do whatever it wants to do. Your brain knows what needs to be healed first. And it will do just that if you give it the nutrients it needs. It will look after the most life-threatening situation first and then go on down the line. Usually what takes place is this: Hering's law of cure. Whatever symptom you had last will be the first symptom to disappear. And the first symptom you had will be the last symptom to disappear. Does that make sense? Your body heals in the reverse order of how it got sick. It's interesting. Now here is the 3-day juice cleanse for those who don't want to do 21 days and then 3 days of water fasting. I love to offer a choice. Isn't it written in the scriptures? Choose you this day whom you will serve. Well, I think in all fairness, it's good to give people a number of things they can choose from. Here's the 3-day juice cleanse. For 3 days, drink 8 to 12 glasses of fresh squeezed juice. And 85% of this juice should be carrot juice. The rest can be apple, orange, beet, celery, etc. Whatever you'd like to put in that juice, you go ahead and put it in. And for 3 days, you have that breakfast, lunch, dinner, and in between. Whenever you're feeling hungry or otherwise, put in some juice and make it fresh. All the time, make it fresh. It's very good. It could last probably for a couple of hours if you did up enough to do you for a few hours, but try and do it that way. It's best fresh because less oxidation takes place. Drink the juice throughout the day. If you find you're hungry, add more juice. Does that make sense? Add more juice. On the 4th day, eat only fresh, raw fruits, because your stomach has not been used to having solid foods put in it for 3 days, so take it easy when you're going to introduce yourself back into the foods. On the 5th day, have fresh raw fruit for breakfast and fresh raw veggies for lunch. And on the 6th day, you may resume normal eating. And you can do that once a month. You could do that once every other month. Whatever you'd like to do. But I'll guarantee you something. If you do the 21 days of eating right and the 3-day water fast, or you do the 3-day juice cleanse, you're going to get a benefit in your body. Whenever you start doing something right, your body responds accordingly. Here's the melon cleanse. And this is fantastic. You see, when we do things to our body that force it to do anything, we're out of harmony with the laws that govern the body. But when we give the body food and enable it to do whatever it wants to do, we're in harmony with physical law. Now, the melon fast, this is one I recommend for people who have high blood pressure, who are not diabetic. If you're diabetic, this would not be a good thing to do for you unless you were non-diabetic or you were cured from your diabetes. And that's what happens when you get on the right foods, by the way. And I'm going to share more with you when we're finished with this section right here. The melon cleanse works like this. For 3 days, eat nothing but melons, cantaloupe, watermelon, honeydew, etc. You may eat as often as you are hungry, as melons digest very rapidly when eaten alone. Make sure the melons should be well ripened and drink plenty of water during the 3 days. That is very important. And if you think about this, this is putting a tremendous amount of cleaning in your body. And why is it that it lowers blood pressure? Well, what it does is these melons clean the nephrotic membranes of the kidneys better than anything else we know. So if you've got inorganic minerals or sediment built up in your kidneys, the melons will clean them out very well. We had one lady, her blood pressure was 185 over 135. Her doctor wanted her on blood pressure medication. And she knew when she took one of these pills, it made her feel very, very sick. So I was called upon to visit this woman and asked what could be done for her from a natural perspective. I said, well, are you on the medication right now? She said, no, I'm not. I refuse to take this medication. I said, are you diabetic? She said, no, I'm not. She says, I just feel awful. So I said to her, after I prayed with her, go on nothing but melons for 3 days. She said, just melons? I said, yes, just melons for 3 days. She says, can I have toast? I said, no, just melons for 3 days. And her husband was with her, and he says, she'll eat the melons. She'll eat them. I'll tell you, she'll eat them. So she did. 3 days after she had started on the melons, her husband phoned me. I was in Edmonton at the time. Her husband phoned me and he says, Rudy, my wife's blood pressure is 110 over 70. No medication. Isn't that amazing? That is absolutely amazing, but that's how the human body works. She had spent a number of years doing things wrong, causing her kidneys to be plugged up. And she said she urinated a whole lot during those 3 days, but her body felt better and better and better. And now her blood pressure was down to a healthier blood pressure, 110 over 60 over 70. Perfect blood pressure should be about 100 over 60, no lower than 90 over 50, and preferably no higher than 110 over 70. 120 over 80 is on the low side of high. Shouldn't be that high. Not at all. In health, it should be much lower. Okay, does that sound easy to do? If you really like melons, get a variety of melons. Mix them up into a melon cocktail. You can juice them too if you want. Watermelon juice is fantastic to drink. And drink lots of water with it. And this is a good thing to do too. You can rest while you do this. Or if you have to work, brain work is fantastic because glucose is all the body runs on. And there's lots of glucose in those melons. It works very well. Okay, now we're going to talk about grapes. Grapes are an incredible food. Now, the problem with a lot of people is this. This is probably the absolute greatest cleanse I have ever known, is the grape cleanse. The greatest. And you're going to see why. Many people, when they become encumbered with mucus and phlegm and pus throughout their body, they start manifesting symptoms such as fatigue, asthma, bronchitis, a hurting liver, painful bowels, edema in any part of the body, varicose veins, headaches, skin rashes and irritations, constipation. All these things are the result of mucus buildup in the body. So the body cannot operate like it needs to. And most North Americans are overweight. They've got too much mucus built up in the system. And what does the body do? It will start to use what we call a vicarious avenue of elimination. So the skin may break out in rashes. Weeping sores sometimes will happen on the skin. Pus oozing out from the legs, sometimes from the upper arms and the back, but mostly from the lower extremities. These are all signs of mucus and phlegm and pus buildup in the body, a system that is not working right, a very acidic system. Grapes are one of the most fantastic foods for cleaning the whole body. And I'm going to show you how they do that. Are you ready? First of all, grapes are the most potent of all medicinal foods. Grapes are the most potent. And yeah, you'll want to write these things down. Black grapes are the most nutrient-dense grapes. Black grapes, preferably with the seeds in the grapes. When you can juice these grapes, and when you put them through the juicer, make sure you juice them seeds and all through a good vegetable juicer. The seeds are easy to chew up, by the way, in grapes. Grapes are detoxifiers of the whole body. They have that rich a nutrient. Other grape colors are fine too, like your green grapes and your red grapes and your purple grapes, but black grapes, if you can get them, are the absolute best. Now, before I go any further here, I want to share with you what I do to clean grapes. Preferably for this grape fast, which will be 3 days, you'll want to buy certified organic grapes. And if you cannot, for any reason, get the certified organic grapes, then get the commercially grown grapes. And here's what you do. You put them in the sink of water. But in this water, before you put the grapes in there, you squeeze the juice of 1 fresh lemon. Squeeze it in the sink water. Then you add 2 tablespoons of Celtic sea salt. Celtic sea salt. C-E-L-T-I-C, Celtic sea salt. If you're from Nova Scotia, you know how to pronounce that when you see C-E-L-T-I-C, Celtic, not Celtic, like some people pronounce it on the West Coast. It's Celtic sea salt. And you stir that sink water very well till the lemon juice and the sea salt is all dissolved. This makes a mild form of hydrochloric acid. Then you put all your grapes in the sink water and you let them sit for about 15 to 20 minutes. And this will digest all of the sprays and things that are on the outside of the grapes. Anything that could be harmful to you will be taken off there. You could do this with your certified organic grapes if you wanted to also. It could remove anything that may have gotten on there like bacteria or whatever from people handling the grapes. It's always good to wash your food. And then when that's finished, when the 15 to 20 minutes is up, take your grapes out of the sink and rinse them well. And then put them in your refrigerator. Now, you could also do this for your vegetables if you bring them home from your shopping trip. You could do that with your lettuce or with your spinach or whatever you wanted to wash, cucumbers or anything like that, cabbage. Use that sink water. And that sink water will last you a long time when you've got a big sink full of water and all those vegetables. It works very, very well. And it's a very inexpensive way for a veggie wash, isn't it? Something you can do at home. Okay, back to the grape story here. Tartaric acid removes mucus. Grapes have a great amount of tartaric acid. Tartaric acid is found on the outside of the seeds. Okay? Now, remember I told you the body is thick with mucus? The tartaric acid removes the mucus. Isn't that wonderful? Breaks it up in the system, gets ready to expel it. What you're going to notice over the 3 days is this. The urine will have mucus in it. So will the feces. Bowel movements will have mucus. This is the body clearing things out. Don't panic. It's perfectly normal when your body's cleansing itself. Grapes also stop viruses in their tracks. The polio virus is halted immediately by grapes, the nutrients in grapes. So, by the way, is the herpes virus. It's stopped by the nutrients in grapes. Isn't that interesting? Grapes kill viruses very, very well. We don't get very much of them. And you never hear about these things, do you? All right. They're very high in magnesium, which, by the way, cures constipation. Grapes will do that for you. They relieve gastritis. Grapes relieve gastritis. Anybody with bowel irritation happening, bloating and things, it's all taken care of. It reverses chronic acidosis. That is the body dropping below that 7 pH level in the cells. Dropping below there, grapes reverse that and bring it up to a 7 to 8 cellular pH. That's what they'll do. It is just incredible. Now, their high iron content reverses anemia. You know anybody who's anemic? Chances are they're not getting enough of the ingredients from grapes. Now, I want to share with you something. It's not a matter if you get iron, because the grapes come with everything necessary to make that iron available to the human system. That is very, very important. Very important. You don't just take this nutrient from the grape or that nutrient. You have them all together. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. Okay, they have ellagic acid, which scavenges carcinogens. Carcinogens are what? Cancer causers. So it scavenges cancer-causing materials. It has caffeic acid and is a cancer preventative. Caffeic acid prevents cancers from setting up to begin with. Isn't that interesting? And it's all right there in the grape. Also, they have a superior energy source. Grapes are a superior energy source. They eliminate stored solids in tissues. Anybody's got tumors or cysts in the tissues, grapes will dissolve that. Grapes help reverse heart disease, and you can see how. Grapes are absolutely incredible, especially the black grapes. They protect from antioxidant damage. Grapes protect the cells from antioxidant damage, the nutrients in grapes. And the list goes on. I'm not going to list everything here. I'm just going to list the key things, the key benefits for you. Grapes protect our bodies from airborne pollutants. Protect them like no other food can do. Grapes protect the body. Grapes relieve mental exhaustion. Isn't that interesting? Anybody who's studying in college or university, and usually it's brain fatigue, major, they need to spend a weekend with some grapes and be restored. Grapes soothe the nervous system. That is so beautiful. In today's society, we are so messed up with our nerves, traffic going this way and billboards and everything just onslaughting our senses. We need a reprieve, and grapes can soothe the nerves. They improve calcium absorption, thus reversing osteoporosis. Grapes improve calcium absorption. And by the way, they also contain calcium. Isn't that interesting? But there's something else you're going to see here. Grape juice sustains nursing infants. When the mother is unable to produce breast milk, fresh grapes will give the baby all it needs for nutrients. Isn't that rich? But it can't be store-bought. It has to be fresh squeezed grape juice. And grapes combined with nut milk make the purest blood. Grapes combined with nut milk make the purest blood. To achieve these results, grapes are best eaten alone as a meal. You could sit down and have a half a pound to 2 pounds of grapes, depending on your size and how full you may have felt. And just eat them slowly, chew them well, and that can be your meal. For the whole 3 days, grape juice, grapes, mash them up, eat them off the vine, have juice out of them, and rest and let your body do what it needs to do, what it's designed to do. To achieve these results, grapes are best eaten as a meal. Grape fasting cleanses the tissues. Grape fasting cleanses the tissues and the taste buds, bringing them into harmony with a healthful appetite. Your desire for stimulating foods will be greatly lessened after having 3 days of just grapes. It is absolutely incredible, but you're going to notice your sensitive tongue is going to return. The grapes will help clean it. Your tongue may develop a coat on it when you do a 3-day water fast, or when you do a juice fast, or when you do a grape fast. Your tongue may develop a coat. That means your liver is toxic and it's cleaning out. That's all it means. Not to worry. Just keep on doing what you know is right, and the results are guaranteed to come. Now, I know you may have the question, what about that nut milk? How do I make the nut milk? This is not something you go and buy in the store. No, no, no. This is something you make fresh at home, so it's living nut milk with living calcium in it. Soak 1 cup of almonds overnight. Drain off the soak water and rinse. Place into a blender with enough water to cover the nuts. Blend well, adding more water if desired, if you want to get a little thinner consistency, or less water if you want a little thicker. Strain through a cheesecloth to remove the fiber. Very good to strain that. There's one lady, she used her nylon stockings, a new pair of nylon stockings. She rinsed them, and then she used them to strain the nut milk out of. And it did a great job of removing the fibers, because you want the milk to go into the bloodstream right away. And if there's fiber in it, it won't go in as fast. So strain the fiber out and strain it out very well. And then mix this nut milk half and half with fresh grape juice. And this makes the purest blood you can imagine in your system. Now you see, God pronounced a blessing in the grapes. It says in the book of Isaiah, I believe it's chapter 65, verse 8, it says that the new wine in the cluster, do not destroy it, for it is good. All right, okay, it's very healthy for the system. So it's a very good thing to get these grapes together to do your cleanse, your 3-day grape cleanse. Does it sound interesting to you? You want to help to get that body repaired? Try it. What have you got to lose except ill health, right? And you might as well do it. You got a day to go through anyway. It is just fantastic. So, what is the only thing we need to consume in order to restore health and maintain life? Can anyone tell me? Grapes? Well, you're in the right church, just the wrong pew. Nutrition. Nutrition is what we need to restore health and maintain life. Nutrition. And all these things come from God. So this is a very, very good thing for us to have. Now, I'm going to take a pause here, and Jeannie and I are going to come and show you how to put all of this together.
Okay, we're going to be showing you how to put everything together, and hopefully this will answer a lot of the questions that many of you may have. Oftentimes we get asked, how do we do all this? How do we start? Where do I begin? And so this is what we want to kind of address right now and give you some very practical things that you can do to help put it all together. So we want to start with some simple food combining rules.
Do not have acid fruits, such as berries, plums, or citrus, with grains. Instead, combine those foods with nuts and seeds. And if you make a nice amount of these, they make a great breakfast, and it'll last you a long time. You see, we want to eat nutritious foods, but a lot of times we eat wrong combinations of foods, and these foods war with each other in the stomach. That is what you want to avoid. Eating citrus with toast or any kind of a grain is not a good idea. Citrus and the acid fruits such as berries and plums go best with seeds and nuts. It's a good combination. Have a nice big bowl, and you'll find it lasts you a long time. Our problem is we eat way too much food. We do. We eat way too much food. So concentrate on smaller portions. Now, if you find you're losing weight and you don't want to lose weight, have a larger portion. If you find you're gaining weight, have a smaller portion. It's that simple.
Okay, the next thing, we've mentioned this in one of our earlier programs, is never combine fruit and vegetables at the same meal, as the sugars in the fruit will cause fermentation to happen. The rule does not include non-sweet fruits, and we did mention that once before. Non-sweet fruits would include avocados, tomato, cucumber, things like that. So those fruits could be mixed either with a sweet fruit meal or with a vegetable meal, and they will digest fine. But sweet fruits should not be combined with your vegetables. They don't digest well together, and you will end up causing fermentation. They take different rates of time to break down in the stomach, and as the fruit digests quicker, it will sit there in the stomach and those sugars will start to ferment while the vegetables are finishing their digestion. So you'll find if you just separate your sweet fruits and your vegetables, don't combine them at the same meal, and you will avoid things like bloating, gas, and those types of digestion discomforts that many people experience.
Okay, if you choose to include animal flesh in your diet, I would highly recommend that you do not have that animal flesh with any kind of a starch, such as rice, such as bread, such as potatoes, simply because that starch in your stomach with the protein concentrate of that animal flesh will actually absorb the enzymes necessary, like the pepsin, to break down the protein. And thus your protein is going to putrefy and the starch is going to ferment in your system. So you'll produce a lot of gas in the intestines, a lot of putrefaction, and thus a lot of encumbering of the body with toxic waste, causing mucus and pus in the different areas of the body. So don't do that. If you're going to eat your meat, have a small portion of flesh food with a large green salad. And that will be your meal, and that at least your body can start to deal with that and start to digest it properly. Although I don't recommend the eating of animal foods. If a person is listening and they really feel like, I just gotta have my meat, well then there's the way to have it. Until finally your body will say, I don't feel like even having that meat. And that's the day you're looking forward to.
And that big salad would help the meat to move through quicker too, wouldn't it?
Oh yes, all of these. See, the meat has no fiber. And so the salad with lots of fiber will help the meat to move through the system. Thank you.
Okay, The next simple food combining rule that we've talked about is never eat large amounts of foods at one meal. And this would include, even if it's really good food, you don't want to be stuffing your stomach. As Rudy has mentioned, your stomach can hold about 2 cups of well-chewed food. So make sure that you are not overloading your stomach. It's hard for your stomach to move, to process food if it's full, if it's stretched full. So just put in the right amount and you'll find your digestion will be much improved.
Okay, avoid too much variety at any one meal. 3 to 4 articles of food or kinds of food is plenty to have at a meal. You don't need to have 18 different kinds of varieties of food on the table. This encourages overeating, and it also causes a war in the stomach. This causes your mental faculties to not be as sharp as they could be or even should be. So just use myself, like Jeannie and I will have a breakfast such as this. It may be bananas and a half of pineapple and maybe a piece of toast with that. And that's it. That's breakfast. How many people sit down to breakfast like that? Sometimes it'll just be blueberries and seeds and nuts. That's breakfast. We eat so simply, don't we? It's unreal. People, whenever we go out to somebody's place, what are we going to make them? What are we going to make them? Don't even worry about it. We'll eat whatever we can at your meal table. It's not that hard. We eat very simply, but I want to share this with you. We didn't start off this way. We've been doing this now for over 15 years, probably over 16, getting into it little by little by little by little till finally we've arrived at the place that we're at. So don't think you've got to be just like we are. Take it easy. Health reform is something that works very well and stays with you if you take logical steps and take them wisely and carefully, adding good things to what you're currently doing. Now, these steps we're sharing with you can help you to have much better digestion, and with much better digestion comes much better health.
Now, we don't encourage mono diets. Some people, they get really stuck on mono foods. And so they'll decide, I'm just going to eat mangoes. I just love mangoes, so I'm just going to eat mangoes. And you will get out of balance if you just focus on mono diets or mono foods. You need to have a rainbow of foods into your diet. So make your meals varied from day to day. If we were to have a half a pineapple and some bananas and some bread today, we would have something different for our breakfast the next day. We don't have the same foods every single day for our breakfast or every single day for our lunch. So try to make sure that your meals are varied from day to day. And I'd like to give you some ideas. I often get people coming and saying to me, I really just don't know what I should even eat. And so what I'm going to do is put up on the screen here some sample ideas for you that might kind of trigger your thinking and give you some ideas to say, hey, this is a place where I can start. This gives me some ideas to know how to even begin. So this is just a sample idea of what maybe some breakfast ideas could be. So first of all, you want to have several raw, fresh fruits with your breakfast. It might be something like grapefruit, banana, and pineapple, or maybe several different melons, or maybe kiwis and strawberries and oranges, or maybe it'll be fruit salad with something like banana ice cream and a seed mix. And by the way, for those that may not know how to do banana ice cream or some of these other recipes that we're going to talk about, we will be showing those recipes, some of them, on the DVDs. So for those of you that are interested in purchasing a copy of the DVD, you can check with the Amazing Discoveries, and they will have those available for sale that you can get. But these recipes will be included on the DVD, so you'll be able to see how to make them. So you want to have several raw, fresh fruits. And that's something that you should have at every breakfast. And then you want to have a grain. It's good to have a grain in there. Or if you're having, as Rudy has said, a citrus breakfast with oranges or berries, things like that, more acid-type fruits, then you'll want to omit the grain for the breakfast and just have seeds and nuts along with that. So if you're going to have a grain, you might have something like some porridge with some rice milk. I don't generally recommend the use of soy milk simply because most soy milks contain things that are excitotoxic or other types of ingredients that are not healthy. Just read the labels on there. You might even want to make your own soy milk. You can make your own soy milk, and you can make a healthy soy milk that could go onto your porridge that way. You can make nut milks very, very easy, very simple. As Rudy has shared, all you have to do is put some water in your blender, add some nuts in there, blend it up. If you want it to be more of a milk consistency without the fiber, just strain it, and that will take the fiber out. You might want a little touch of salt, maybe a little bit of honey in there to give it a little bit of sweetener. It's very simple to do to make some healthy milks. You might want to have some toast with avocado, or you might want to have a sprouted grain cereal. I know a lot of people are really starting to get into sprouting, and I really encourage sprouting. Your nutrients increase dramatically when you sprout your grains or your seeds or your legumes. So I really encourage you, if you haven't tried sprouting, pick up a good book on how to sprout and start sprouting. You will get a lot more nutrition into your body. So sprouted grain cereals, they're wonderful. We do, a lot of times we'll take raw oats, the actual oat groat. It's different. We're not talking about a rolled oat here. It's the actual grain before it goes through the milling process. And we'll soak that, and we will put that together with some other ingredients to make a nice raw porridge. And it's very delicious and very sustaining for the body. And if you want some other things on the side, you might want some things like nuts or seeds, maybe dates, raisins, figs, things like that. With any of your dried fruits, as we've mentioned before, make sure that they're unsulfured and they're not genetically modified. So you want to purchase them from a reputable source, preferably a health food store, something like that, where you know that they are not going to be containing ingredients that are going to be harming your health. So that gives you some ideas for maybe some breakfast ideas to get you started. For lunch again should be fairly simple. Always start with a salad. That should be your main course that you work around.
Or even a green smoothie.
Or you can do a green smoothie. Green smoothies are great. We gave you the recipe for green smoothie. Do green smoothies. That's like a blended salad. So your salad might be something like a lettuce base with shredded vegetables like beets and carrots and purple cabbage, things like that. You want to get a lot of good vegetables into that salad. Again, you want to vary it from day to day. You don't want to have the same salad every day. You might want to have some tomatoes, cucumbers, sprouts, something like that in your salad. Or maybe you want to make a cabbage-based salad. There's wonderful Japanese cabbage salad, which I will be hopefully showing the recipe on the DVD. It's delicious, and those are different ideas that you can do for a base for your salad. There's all kinds of varieties. You can get recipe books that are nothing but salads to give you lots of different ideas on things that you can do with salad. And then you should have some type of an entree. Now your entree could be either a raw entree or it could be a cooked entree. So if you had a raw entree, it might be something like pizza. Believe it or not, there's delicious raw food pizza, and that will be a recipe that I will be demonstrating. It might be raw patties, zucchini, spaghetti. You take zucchini and you put it through a little gadget. It's called a spiral slicer, and it comes out like angel hair pasta. And it's delicious. You can make up a wonderful marinara sauce or maybe basil pesto, something like that to go on there. It's delicious. Maybe you want to make a raw potato salad. That's usually done with something called a jicama. That's a root vegetable. I know it looks like a jicama, but it's actually a Spanish name, and it's pronounced jicama. And it's just a root vegetable, kind of round and sort of a tan color in appearance. And you just simply peel that, you cube it up in small little cubes, and you just put your ingredients in that you would put in for a potato salad, maybe some onion, different things like that. It's delicious. Or maybe you just want to have a cooked entree, and that's fine. Like we've mentioned before, we don't encourage people to do 100% raw food. We are encouraging you to do more raw foods, preferably aiming for about 80% of your foods in your diet being raw food, and then you have that window for cooked food of about 20%. So your cooked entree might be something like a baked potato or brown rice or whole grain pasta, legumes, something like that. That could be your cooked entree. And then maybe you want something on the side. These cheeses that I'm listing out here on the slide, these are actually vegan cheeses that we make. They're not something that you go to the grocery store and buy. And they're very, very simple to make. It's easy. You just do it up in your blender very, very quickly. So you could make something like cheddar cheese or Alpine cheese. Or you might have something like avocado with bread or crackers, something like that. Maybe you'd like popcorn. We love popcorn, and popcorn is great. We don't put butter on it. What we do is we take maybe some grapeseed oil, a little bit of grapeseed oil, sprinkle that over the popcorn, stir it through, a little bit of sea salt on there, and you know that tastes so similar to hot buttered popcorn, theater popcorn. It's delicious. Or for variation, sometimes we will take and we'll put olive oil on. And you can put all kinds of different seasonings on. Popcorn is great. So maybe you want to have some popcorn or some breadsticks, or maybe you want to make up a pate. There's wonderful pates that can be made. Zucchini chips, again, this is just where we're taking zucchini, thinly slicing it, putting it in a dehydrated tray. Sometimes I'll make a cheese to go on top and make these very cheesy zucchini chips. And again, those are very delicious. These are all healthy things that you can do, and you can feel good about eating these foods, and your body will be very thankful for them. Now, for supper, supper should be very light. If you're going to eat supper, it should be very light. Your body is getting ready to go to sleep. Your organs of digestion want to be able to rest when you go to bed. And so it should be something light. Maybe you want just some popcorn and fruit, maybe some banana ice cream. Again, we'll talk about how to make banana ice cream when we do our recipes. Banana splits, again, these are healthy recipes. These are not going to Dairy Queen and buying yourself a nice big fat banana split before you go to bed, because trust me, you're not going to sleep well if you do that. Banana milkshakes, very simple. You know, you can take some of this nut milk that Rudy was talking about, or you can take a rice milk, or if you can find a healthy version of a soy milk, put that into your blender. Take frozen bananas. All you do with your bananas is when they're nice and speckled, nice and ripe, you just take and peel them, put them in a Ziploc bag and freeze them for at least 24 hours, and then take them out of the freezer, and you can just start dropping your bananas into your milk. You might want a little sweetener in there. You don't really have to. We don't usually put any kind of a sweetener in. Just start dropping those bananas in until you get a nice thick consistency. Just let that blender run and keep dropping them in, and you'll get a milkshake.
Add a vanilla bean.
You can put some vanilla bean in. Sometimes I put a fresh vanilla bean in there, and it's delicious. So yeah, try some different things. Maybe you just want some toast and avocado, or maybe you would like to do something like smoothies. Now, smoothies are wonderful. You can get whole books. If you go to Chapters, you can get a whole book. It's called the Smoothies Bible, and they've got all kinds of ideas that you can do for smoothies in there. And again, this is something that's very nutritious. It can get a lot of good nutrients into you, but it's light. It's not something that's going to be heavy in your body before you go to sleep. Or maybe just some fresh squeezed juice. Just take your juicer out and run some veggies through there. We don't generally recommend just squeezing fruit because there's a lot of sugar in the fruit, and it's going to cause your blood sugars to increase, and you don't really want to be doing that. So
If you do have it, dilute it 50% with water.
yeah.
If you feel like having fruit juice. Much easier on your pancreas.
Yeah. And by the way, one thing I might mention here too is if you're juicing, you can combine fruits and vegetables in juice, not eating them with the fiber in, because it's the fiber that's digesting that's taking the time, and that's where fermentation would start to happen. But if you're juicing, if you're putting some carrots through your juicer and you want it a little bit sweeter, it's okay to put apple through your juicer too. You're removing all the pulp, you're removing all the fiber out of there. It's just the juice that's left, and the juice just absorbs in your body. It's not going to go through a process of digestion. So you're fine to combine the apple with the carrot, okay? So those are just some very simple ideas that you could do for your supper. And again, this is not meant to be comprehensive. It's just to give you some ideas of where to get started.
Place to start now. I wanted to mention that I had stated earlier about mucus forming in the body, mucus and pus. Now, would you like to know what kind of foods cause that mucus and pus to form? Because I think I'd rob you if I didn't tell you what they were. You'd wonder, what are those mucus-forming foods? What are those pus-forming foods? Well, here's what it is. To begin with, all animal products. All animal products, from the meat to the cheese to the butter are all mucus and pus producing in the body. Plus, all you vegetarians out there, get ready. I'm going to take away some things from you. Potatoes, breads, your starches, rice, all your grains are mucus producing and pus producing in the system. Okay? So now you think about that. There are ways to enjoy these foods without them having those kind of effects on the system. And it's like this. If you take your potatoes, if you want to have boiled potatoes, after they become soft, you can poke a fork right in them, and you want to remove the mucus-producing effects of these potatoes, put them in the oven for 30 minutes. Bake them for 30 minutes. This will dextrinize them, and your body will be able to utilize them. As opposed to becoming mucus and pus in the system, it will be pushed out of the system, and most of it will be used as glucose in the system. That'll make the starch healthy. With your grains, you're best off to toast your bread. It may be a fresh loaf of bread or 2 days old. Toast it. If you toast it, you won't have the mucus forming effect in your system. Or even better, Zwieback. Zwieback makes very good blood because it's been well dextrinized, and that's the key right there. And with the rice, use your whole grain rices, but remove a lot of the starch off of the rice with cold water after you've cooked it. And then if you want to rinse it in hot water to get it warmed up again, that's fine. But that will help reduce the mucus buildup in your body. And when you're eating these foods, use them in moderation. Don't make them the main course of your meal. The main course should be greens in your meals with vegetables. Lots of greens. A green smoothie, and with your foods that are done right, you'll have no problem with mucus building up. And you're going to discover some interesting things. You'll have more energy. Your brain will become clearer thinking. Your skin will become different. You'll feel and know the difference personally as to what's taking place in your body. And as you do these things over time, your body will heal itself little by little by little instead of a catastrophic overnight change. Just do these things that you know to be right, and this will help you. Does that answer any questions that may be on how does this mucus get in the system? Remember that. That's what I give to you. So that's your best way to do things.
Now, Rudy, would you encourage people to never eat a baked potato or to never eat a piece of bread that wasn't toasted?
No. You see, if this becomes your main course and you do it every day, you're having bread and butter or whatever, you're going to get in trouble. But if once a week you sat down, you said, oh, I just got to have a piece of fresh bread, it's not going to kill you. It won't. And God won't keep you out of heaven for doing such a thing. But here's what you got to look at. Enjoy yourself and don't make food your God, but know how to put it in the system and use it wisely. You may discover after a while you don't desire the fresh bread. You feel clogged up when you have it maybe. These things happen over time. But no, don't have a neurosis like a baked potato-osis or something like that. No, baked potato is actually very good for you. Baked potatoes good, but boiled potatoes, not so good unless you bake them in the oven afterward for 30 minutes, okay? Baked potatoes your best. That's your best way to have it.
So if you're a person then that has some health conditions, that mucus would be something that you would be feeling that was implicated in that health condition, you may for a period want to avoid those foods that would be mucus forming.
Right.
But certainly then it's not going to be a problem if you want to have those occasionally in your diet. So.
Introduce them gradually as you start to get well, and if you have them in the forms in which I recommended, you'll do just fine.
Yeah, we just want to encourage you to just try to stay balanced with everything because it's very easy sometimes to get a little unbalanced.
Sure.
When you're trying to get your health back especially.
Because for every mile of road, there's 2 miles of ditch. And the devil doesn't care which one he gets you off in, extreme right or extreme left. Balance in the middle. And here's a good thing to think about. Never, never, never look at somebody else's plate and say, you shouldn't be eating that. I wouldn't eat that if I was you. You know, never, never do that. Wait until the person asks you, why are you eating like that? Oh, I'm glad you asked. Here's why. Don't be the judge of anyone else's life. Judge yourself and live accordingly. Those are wise words. Now, I want to leave you with a little saying. Our meals are way too big as North Americans. Eat shorter, live longer. Eat shorter, live longer. Eat longer, live shorter. Reverse works. So keep that in mind, and may God bless you. Oh, there's a saying that we have here. We are not finished yet, are we? Disease, if you've learned nothing else through this seminar, disease is an effort of nature to free the system from the conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. In case of sickness, the cause should be ascertained. Unhealthful conditions should be changed. Wrong habits corrected. Then, nature is to be assisted in her efforts to expel impurities and to reestablish right conditions in the system. Pure air, sunlight, abstemiousness, rest, exercise, proper diet, the use of water, trust in divine power. These are the true remedies, and they're available to rich and poor with very little cost. Sound good? God bless you, and thank you.